Today I just want to make a rant video on a video that people keep sending me called It's Your Barrel Stupid. Now this rant isn't directed at Quarter Minute Magnums or his video. I think the information is awesome and I think that you should go check it out for yourself. I am grateful that people have sent me this video because I've explored his channel and I really enjoy the stuff that he's putting out there. Issue I have with all these keyboard gunsmiths and jabronis that keep sending me this video, apparently wanting me to swap barrels out instead of other things. I thought it was pretty funny in the video. I don't know if these guys have watched the whole video like I have. I've actually watched it 3 times now just to try to understand everything and pick it apart a little bit. But what I don't think these guys are realizing is he's using premium components, burger bullets. I'm sure he's using phenomenal brass. I've actually watched some of his other rifle videos where he actually chambers rifles for the brass for that rifle. Not that anyone said anything about that in my videos. He's using premium components. He's also using proven scopes, high-end scopes, premier scopes, callus scopes, stuff like that to get these groups. No one commented on my video. Maybe that 3 to 9 is just not doing it, you know what I mean? Some of the stuff that I think people miss too in this video is he is a gunsmith. He's literally trued this action up. He's lapped the lug. He's timed the trigger, trued up the bolt face. He's chased the threads, done all sorts of gunsmithing work to this action, right? But what everyone is getting across is that you need to swap your barrel out. He literally says in his video how this is a Hummer barrel. And for those of you who don't know, a Hummer barrel is like a once in a lifetime. You may never even find a Hummer barrel. It's a barrel that will shoot everything perfectly. The other thing too is he even says in this video that there's no 2 barrels that are alike. It doesn't matter if it's cut from the same piece of steel, if it's one behind another, those barrels are not both going to be Hummers. For all you keyboard gunsmiths, how many barrels are you buying to supposedly find this Hummer barrel? Because I would really like to know. Because I highly doubt any of you are passing this information off like you've done this yourself. I just don't buy it. I really am grateful for finding this content, like I said, but I think there's a lot more steps in getting to accuracy than just swapping your barrel out. And I don't think it's fully depicted in this video, and maybe it's just because people hear the title and that's exactly what they go to. I think maybe they've compared this video because I was shooting a 7 Remington Magnum and he's shooting a 7 Remington Magnum. But not anyone has commented on the fact that it's a savage action. It hasn't been lapped. It hasn't been trued up. It hasn't been blueprinted. No one said anything about anything like that. No one said anything about the scope. No one said anything about the components. My last video really wasn't a group comparison. It was a speed comparison. But I just would really like to get the point across that maybe there's other things that you can do to accuratize your rifle before you go to swapping a barrel. Not that that's a bad idea. I just think there's a lot of other steps that you can take first. So here's just an example for you guys. This rifle is a Savage Model 111 in 7 Remington Magnum. When I got this rifle, it came in a Tupperware stock that was a piece of junk, and it was shooting 6 to 7 inch groups at 100. Phenomenal, right? Well, I took it out of that Tupperware stock, I dropped it in one of these MDT chassis, and with some load work, I ended up getting this rifle to shoot like this. Kind of like the groups you see on Quarter Minute Magnum. Now, I don't think this rifle will shoot every load that way. Absolutely not. I don't think that this is a Hummer barrel. This is a pretty finicky barrel, actually. The other thing that no one seemed to comment on my groups in that video is that maybe it's my scope. This is just a 3 to 9 Nikon BDC, nothing special, just a lightweight timber hunt scope kind of a thing. And no one commented on that. They all just want me to swap my barrel out before anything. So if I would have taken this rifle in its original configuration and just swapped the barrel out, I guarantee I was probably still gonna get 6 to 7 inch groups. Just saying. So here's another example of a rifle that was having some issues the other day when I went to shoot it. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it's the barrel. I know that for a fact because it shoots groups like this. Here's another group that someone else shot. I didn't even shoot that group. That's a pretty phenomenal group. Well, here's what happened the other day. Just for an example, look at those groups. That's a 3-shot group. That's a 5-shot group right there. So ultimately what I did to test this, I torqued this down to about 60 foot-pounds, as hard as I could pretty much, and it shot that bottom group right there. I'm sure that when I torqued it down that much, it was kind of hitting the stock funny in this plastic stock. This is a Savage Model 12 and 308, pretty good shooting rifle. Well, I loosened the action screws up and then I retightened them to about 40 pounds and I shot this 5-shot group right here. So I just want to say, for majority of people out there, if you're just shooting factory rifles and you're trying to get those single shot holes like that, it probably is going to be pretty tough unless you do get a pretty awesome barrel. But before you do that, I think there's a lot of other steps before that, like changing out the stock, maybe truing up the action and stuff like that, bedding the stock. There's a bunch of things that you could do beforehand before you just go out and swap barrels. I personally haven't really found a barrel that's been that horrible. I have one maybe on a Savage Access, but I think I need to bed that rifle and I wouldn't be surprised if it started shooting. Now I know there are bad barrels out there. I just saw a video with Gavin from Ultimate Reloader the other day on a Mossberg that had a pretty horrible barrel. But before you get to that point, I think that you should probably take some of these other steps. And for all you keyboard gunsmiths, I think you should quit telling people to swap out those barrels, especially when you send that video and he even says in there that a Hummer barrel is a 1 in a million kind of a thing. How many of you guys are actually buying all these barrels, swapping them out until you find a Hummer barrel? Because I would love to know that, because I really don't think that anyone's doing that. Now, I do think if you're shooting competitively, you're probably buying multiple barrels and you're testing out the best one for you and stuff like that. But for a lot of us who are just Western hunters or hunters in general, I don't think we're going out there buying 10, 20 barrels to try and find a Hummer to put on our rifle and call it quits. So that's kind of my rant. If you guys enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. This isn't a dig at Quarter Minute Mile. I think that he's a phenomenal guy. I love his content so far. I think if you want a custom rifle, that you should probably give him a shout out. Reach out to him, maybe he'll build you a rifle. Another thing too is, if you are really having some issues, sounds like he does some Remington 700s. I don't know what else he does. But if you want to true up an action, he might be a good guy to do that with. Maybe even time a trigger and stuff like that. So I really dig his content, and I hope you guys enjoy this. And hopefully this gives you a little more perspective before you just decide to go out there and try swapping barrels, when literally he says everything else in your rifle needs to be perfect first. And I just hope that point gets across, because I don't think you should all be wasting your money on barrels.